Garry talk, and then after that, Chris is going to go through the technical feats. After which, we'll go to a workshop where he may also be doing a direct grafting demonstration. So there's been a few things going on this month. Everyone may recall Scott Martin came and gave a workshop with 8 people on 2 different days. Does anyone want to give a recap on how that went?
It went great.
Actually, I think, yeah. Go on. Simon, how was it?
It went great.
Yeah.
I came late both days. It was great.
Can I just say, it's a great way, if you've never done a workshop, really encourage you to do it. It was great. Scott was really good. No matter what level you were at or what level tree you had, he had information, and it's really a learning experience for someone. It was my first workshop. I learned things in it. The tree, I came in with a thought, okay, this is how I'm going to just do it. It's going to be a cascade, actually a double cascade. Ended up in formal upright. Cascade at all. It's back on the table over there afterwards if people want to look. Just encourage people to go, no matter what level you are. Take advantage. It's one-on-one. You learn more in a demonstration than you will in years coming and watching and that. Just because it's tailored to where you're at, your tree, and what you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Brian said, it's on your tree. And if you've got someone in front of you that's teaching you that's been to Japan, I think 20 odd times, you get to concentrate all that learning into just your tree in a short amount of time. So I think there's a lot of value in that, and I think anyone that did get to attend, I think got a lot from it. During the month, we also had, is David floating around? Actually, I think he might be, David. David also went and gave a demonstration at Bunnings to some people. And David, did you want to give a recap, or do you want to send people to the newsletter? Where's that?
We can do it now. Yeah, so we got a call from Bunnings. All of us have been around for long enough. It's experienced what a demonstration of Bunnings is like. It's usually as miserable as their bonsai collection. But I went over to Roselle, and they've got this little garden activities thing. And what made it sound good was that everybody was at Bunnings involved was enthusiastic. Everyone. And the other thing that was really good about it was they had no bonsais there. Because the garden centre manager will not order a Bunnings bonsai because she said they're embarrassing. She said a few others. So anyway, so all advertised, went over there. I gave a list of a few plants. I wanted some little callistemons and a few other bits and pieces. I got over there, and she was very apologetic because she ordered everything we wanted and she got none of it. So I ended up picking out a couple of little, had some really nice looking gardenia radicans. They're the little small leaf ones that cascade. And these were quite nice looking trees, and there wasn't anything else in there. They had one callistemon which was not possible to do anything with. So I grabbed these two. Then my 3 attendees turned up. So I had them plus the 3 Bunnings people. But it was fantastic. The attendees were really good. They asked really good questions. And the whole thing went really well. I did one with the little gardenias as a cascade in their pots. I did another one. They said, do something different. So I've done one as a sort of little upright thing. They look all right. And they'll flesh out really well because the only pots that were worth looking at were over potted anyway, so I didn't damage them too much putting them in there. I put a bit of a wire on them. I told everyone about the club, had the sign up, and that was good advertising because the sign kept falling off, so everyone got to see it all. The final person, someone had brought in a butts that had been bought for her by her son. And basically, she got it from, what's the name up north? North Sydney. No. Yeah, Gooney, sorry, yeah. I worked that out. And big glazed pot with a stick like that, absolutely dead straight and a ball. And I was looking at this thing going, yeah, I'm going to do this. Anyway, I sat down and said, can I tidy it up? He said, yep. So, who needs any more instructions for that? Grabbed the scissors and I started cutting it back. And it was one of those things where every time I cut something off this tree, I started to say, I'm going to like this. And then when I finally got to the end, I thought, I actually love this tree. It's pictured in the newsletter. And basically, like, if you look at this thing, it's straight as anything, it's got no taper. First branch is above halfway, not a lot of branches, but when you see it in life, it's turned out to be something really fantastic. So I'm hoping that she does the courses on Tuesday. I'm hoping to get her in to a meeting and bring the tree and she can have a talk about everything. And also we can see if we can get her a good pot. But yeah, no, it was good. Great place. You know, the staff over there couldn't have been more helpful. You started off with the Osmocote Bonsai mix, Scots. It's awful. So they said, no, look, the propagating mix and the cacti mix is better. And then they also said, we've got some perlite as well, so made up a quick little mix while we were there.
Took a few bags home as well.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the other thing. We won't get that. And then I had to work out what to do with the trees, and the two people there, I said, oh no, I think Alex, the organiser, I think she's going to look after them, and everyone laughed about that. And then we gave them to the two of the participants, and everyone smiled. It was good. It was a good day.
I think David was really good to give us time for a few hours that day, and a really great representation of the place.
We got a bit of things, but it was just a pleasure. Because the last Bunnings thing I did was awful. Were you at East Gardens, Sean?
I don't remember being at East Gardens.
No, there wasn't much to remember of it. You know, we could have died there and they wouldn't have noticed.
What day was that?
That was on a Tuesday. Yeah,
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they tried really hard to push it, and I know they're serious about it. But, yeah.
The Melbourne Cup was probably on.
No, there's a week before that.
Well, when I was in there, talking about pots and stuff, I was selling it. People, they were grabbing people who were talking about bonsai and getting them over. So, there was no shortage of effort. So hopefully we got at least 2 members out of that.
Alrighty. Couple of formalities tonight. Just want to say thanks to Brian for all his work last month. If you didn't realise, he was pretty much flat out the whole time with the sales night, which as the committee's learned a lot from that, and we'll probably do things a little simpler next year. But in return for that, Brian's going to have a night off from sales. So if you want to do any selling between members tonight, it needs to be between each other, and then honesty, just give 10% to Brian afterwards. But we don't want to do any transactions through the club tonight, just to give him a night off. Unless it's membership, unless you're paying members fees, then you can go see Brian. Speaking of sales night, there's also a School of Bonsai sale night up in North Rocks this Saturday. I believe it starts at 10. I'll let you show up when you want. Chris has also expressed that he may open up his garden for people to go visit. We're still working out the details of that, but if anyone else wants to open up their garden to show other members, please come let me know and we can organise it so that only members can get addresses, or perhaps we may even do it where you direct contact them so that you can go secure in your own home. Other than that, we have a special presenter tonight, Garry Uebergang, who presented at the club last year as well. He actually won, I believe he won the RAS show this year as well. Is that correct? Yep. Which he had, I believe you have your black pine here that you won. Was it the back
No, but I'm sorry, it had gone out a bit, so
That's absolutely fine. Regardless, Gary's going to give a discussion on a few trees that he's been working on, and a couple of couple of projects as well. So if we can all give a big round of applause.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. I had a few problems this afternoon, and I was out taking rowing, and the wind was blowing much stronger than what I thought. And unfortunately, it sort of, and then the boys weren't behaving the way that I hoped that they were going to behave, and so we had a few shipwrecks, and I had 2 falls out, and both of them sank, and you can see there that falling in the water, and had to get them back. And I think one of the boys was really panicking because I think he just thought he was going to sink right down to the bottom of the river. But anyway, and they've got these airtight compartments in them, but somehow they must have been a bit loose, and the water came in through the airtight compartments, and then and made it sink lower and whatever as well. I've got a few things certainly I'm going to show you, and I'll deal with the willow leaf figs first of all, because I have been doing some stuff with them. And so this is one that I've had for quite a few years. And I know that I've spoken, because at the show I was speaking to David, I think it was. I think it was David that I spoke to. And we were saying that one of the problems that you have with these willow leaf figs is that you get a really big base, and then they sort of a bit narrow, and then they get big again, sort of thing. But I think this one's sort of not too bad. But you might wonder, how did I achieve this? How did I achieve that, what do you call that? The Invari, but the Japanese have another name where it sort of spoons out.
Fat roots.
Yeah, but anyway, it did that because it had a very narrow trunk, and I was unhappy with it. And it had the incorrect Nabari, it didn't have much of Nabari at all. So what I did was I did an air ground layer on it. I did an in-ground air layer on it. So what I did was I must have gone around and did the ring bark sort of there, cut back right through the canyon layer like that. And then I buried it all underground. And then that caused this to get really swell there, and made it sort of like that. And what have I got? No, this must be the front here. I know I've got that big root coming there because I mean, the trouble is with some of those, and David's got one tree over there. They get those really big fat roots. And it's nice if you can keep them maybe a bit smaller and not have it get too sort of fat. Anyway, so that's how that's gone. Is that a Murray Hewitson pot? This one, do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't see that as your style.
It's pretty chunky. I can't remember. I can't remember now whether I bought it at down in Melbourne or not. One of the ABC or not.
Is it smoking?
They have certain glazes, don't they? Some people the way they do.
Suits that trick quite nicely.
Yeah, it's not in a lot of soil mix in there. Now, sorry. So these are good, I think these two. And this one's obviously a bit older. So there too. Anybody any comments about which tree they like better than the other and whatever? So anybody want to come forward with any ideas?
I like the small one.
That's all right. I won't be coming to your garden.
Well, you might be walking away with something.
Why do you like it,
It
Rob?
seems to be more in proportion. In
Right.
other words, the roots of that are a bit too protruding for my taste. That one there almost looks more classical.
Anybody else have a comment?
I'd like to see the one on the right in a lower, slightly bigger pot. I think the pots dominates the tree. I like the spread of the bark, and I like the structure of the tree. But I'd like to see, the pot's beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah, look, it's just one of the things I think I was at. We were at Raineski's and I was really proud of it because it had grown right out to the edge with the roots, so I had to put it in something else. And that was the only one I personally would have liked it a bit shallower with it.
I think that the shallower one would be a better proportion for the tree because both the tree and the pot are almost the same visual weight. And you see both of them, but the pot tends to get your eye, and the tree should.
And I also like the way that this one sort of spreads out a little bit more, whereas this one is more compact and standing tall. I'd like to see it, just trying to think where I come.
That's your the front's facing you, yeah.
Yeah, now it's jiggling. So I'd like to see it out a bit further, a bit wider sort of thing, as is typical for a fig rather than just a sort of short.
It has a nice depth to it, going back.
Yeah. Anyway, triple trunks. You've got to have double trunks and triple trunks and slanting and this and that. You've got to have one of everything. It's not just having every species, but you've got to have... okay, so that's more or less all of it. Yeah.
Mine's too little fixed like a stick. How did you get it so fat like this?
Well, it started off as a root cutting, and then I've just ground it and fertilised it and whatever as well. But the root cuttings, and you don't necessarily have to put them in big grow-on pots, but that's a few years old now. This is probably maybe 8 years old, this one. So it's just grown and this one's probably about 4 years old.
Well, both are done from root cuttings.
Yep. Yep. That wasn't root cutting that I got from somebody.
Can I ask, basically, you can put them away while you're putting them away. The size of the leaf, have you done anything special to reduce the leaf size?
I don't know about everybody else, but my willow leaf figs have only woken up in the last 2 weeks. So they've been looking pretty crook up till now. I don't know what everybody else has found. But mine, I think that was, it wasn't so much that we had frost and whatever, but it wasn't that, it didn't warm up that much during the day. Yes, Chris?
I'd probably tell people that they're not deciduous, but they certainly drop off in winter.
Yes.
And they get very thin in winter, their foliage, but then they come back like crazy.
But I've had some that have gone, for all intents and purposes, like they're dead. They haven't had a leaf on them. Not this year, I think they'll get a few leaves, but other years.
I've got one, and that's happened a couple of times. I thought, that's it, finished.
Yeah.
But like I say, they're not deciduous, but by health, they're the next best thing to it.
I guess my experience, I've got one. And it has big leaves. It's very young. It's a very young tree, and it has big leaves. It's never lost them, but it basically, like you said, it hasn't woken up. I don't think it's woken up yet, but it's probably.
Yeah, look, Noel Summerall used to, when he came to National, he always bring along these willow leaf figs, and around this time of year he just defoliated them and just trimmed them right back, and that's what he seemed to do whenever he came. So. Didn't hurt his. Anyway, this is related, I think, to Ben's tree. I think that cutting there, see how big that is, was taken off here, I think. And it was only about that sort of thick when I put it in, and there that is. So this was a cutting, this one, as opposed to a root cutting. This was a cutting from a really big tree. And I fiddled with that and, worked out all the things, how much foliage you leave in the middle and you have 2 trunks, you have them both the same size because asymmetry is, for me being a non-artist, it's very hard to sort of get out of that and not have it all looking absolutely symmetrical, everything on the same on the right, straight up the middle. So I did a bit of work on this in the early days with Andrew Edge, and he's just come back from a trip to China. He saw lots of bonsai over there. Amazing what he sort of said about it all. You sort of think, oh, the Japanese. Oh, I've got some cross roots there I'll have to look at. So this is the Denise Edgerton pot, this one.
It looks good with the tree.
So, anyway, I had that one in the show last year. That was in, that one was in too, I think. So, and now I think it's time to have a bit of a look at what I've been trying to work on. So, which one do you think is going to be the better one? We've got that one, we've got this one.
This one.
That one?
Yeah, I like that.
People are thinking that one. Okay. Look, I'm just going to pull it out and we'll have a look. I'm not going to pot it up or anything, but I think we'll just have a look at it. And if I'm going to have to do it again, put my foil out because we were Neil Bradbury from Shabui Nursery down near Albury. Yakandanda, sorry, lovely town Yakandanda. He did a talk at Bonsai by the Harbour last year on root over rock. And he reckons the way to go is to put the foil out, because what do you tie it down? Do you tie it down with string? Do you tie it down with glad wrap, or do you tie it down with sort of grafting tape or whatever? Anyway, let's see what's, let's sort of undress it. I did bring some tools somewhere. It's a bit like my day has been. Forgot my belt. My water bottle ran out and leaked on the pants. So I'm not having a good day. There we go. So we can see the rock at the top.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this one is just, this one is more just straddling the rock. It's not, I personally like to have them where they, you've got the peak up there and the tree sits about halfway down, but this one's not like that at all. It must have been determined by the rock down there. There we go, the rock there.
Did you intend to expose more of the rock as it grows?
Yeah, I think, here we go. It'll be interesting to see how it all goes. Yeah, I will think it'd be nice to, but I mean, the fact that it's sitting right on top of it. I've got, and I was guided by what happened with my root up the rock that I've got at home, which has got 5 or so figs tied together and they sit on top of the rock. But the trouble is they've had it for a while, they've grown for quite a while, and it's covered up the rock. And you can see the rock if you look, but otherwise, otherwise you can't really see it. So there we go. So I think we'll certainly be able to see a bit of the, and it's funny, I was out at Ray Neskis one day and someone said, someone at Ray told me, oh, this guy's come in, he's done these root over rock and he's trying to sell them. But the funny part was that hardly ever was the root actually touching the rock. So there's big gaps in between and all that sort of stuff. And that's one of the things that you really want, is to have the root cleaning really close to the rock. And like, for instance, there's one here. So I'm not going to... Can you see that one? Yeah, I'll cut that off because that's sticking out. So we wanted to go close to the rock. So you've got a big root coming down there. I might get rid of that one on there. Those ones up there. I don't mind the way, see, you've got some smaller roots coming down there. They're pretty close to it. I'll get rid of these.
How long has it been on the block, Garry?
Oh, about 18 months or maybe 2 years. Yeah, so there's a root up there. Probably get rid of that one. Now we're going with looking at where the front would be. What would we do?
Looking
Now I'll
at you.
just, sorry?
I'm looking at you. That's
Looking at
where I
me?
said the front is, yeah.
Looking here.
Yeah. Out there.
Looking at me now.
Yeah, I think that.
I'm sort of maybe thinking there.
I like the side.
Yeah.
This side, you're moving that one branch. So you've got the apex going up and then you've got that curving branch.
So you like,
You're moving the thinner lower.
so you like it
No,
here?
keep going further around to you there. Stop back a little bit. That's, yeah. No, yes. Gives you a flare of the trunk. One branch has to go because
Yeah, no, they do, don't
it's a
they?
bit funny anyway because of the overshaping.
Yeah, because it's funny when you look around. Yeah, it looks a little bit funny in that area because you've got a bit of a swell in there, sort of thing.
That's character.
That one. Yeah, but you don't see that from here. I mean, it's okay from that angle. I don't mind it from there. I don't necessarily like it as much sort of from straight there. So, my biggest worry was that we were just going to have some really big, thick roots. And there is one really big, thick root there. But I think if we go with these view, the roots don't sort of seem that big. I don't know with the soil that I've got tonight whether I can put it up to have it at this level. And then a couple of branches. So if I went with this one here, hard to know, sort of fiddling around, no one will disturb it off the root. But the thing that I do find very pleasing about it is that the roots seem to be stuck in pretty close to the rock.
What sort of rock was it?
I think I picked it up in the mountain somewhere. It's just a red rock. I don't know any more about it than that. So I'm just going to put that back in the pot. I'll take it in there. And then I'll do the other one. So look, I'm quite pleased with that. And then I'll fiddle around with the rest and work out whatever else is in it. Yeah, I've got a lot of roots there, you know. In a way, I could have potted it up into a pot tonight, but you know, hard for a non-bonsai demonstrator to talk or mumble at the front and wire and cut or do that sort of stuff because anyway, it was good to have a little bit of feedback from some of you guys, but tomorrow I will certainly do it for something with you. Oh look, I think I'm fairly pleased with that. I feel like I'm the Golden Bachelor, talking about which one you can pick. Now I just say the Golden Bachelor because I do a bit of volunteer work at the Austrian Club in French's Forest on the northern side. And there was this guy there who used to always come along and he used to do volunteer work as well. And so I got to know him a little bit. And so it's just funny seeing him, some of them I know, suddenly kissing all these people and embracing everybody and talking about his relationships with them and when it's someone that you know. So, anyway.
Gary, the challenge with figs on a smallish rock is stopping it from swallowing the rock.
Oh yes, yep.
You don't find it?
Well, look, I haven't got a lot of, I had a Chinese elm which I put over a rock once and Brenda gave me a hand doing that. That was in the very early days. But the trouble with that plant was that the roots didn't handle being in the hot sun and they crackled and split and whatever and anyway, the tree wasn't very successful so I got rid of it. But I had the other one, I did a Triton maple once over a rock. But it was a really big, heavy rock. And in some ways, you know, Triton maples are lovely to work with. And in some ways I was quite satisfied with it. But someone said, oh, there was a sale, and you got something to sell, so anyway, I sold it. So anyway, we're going to have a look at this one, which people, yeah?
John, you can actually, instead of, particularly for the fig, putting the fig on the rock and then the fig will just swallow it and fall up. Put it in the side, and so you've got the rock will eventually marry into the fig, but it's not going to grow over it.
Yeah.
I did that with one of mine. I accepted it to show as root over rock. I thought it was a rock poking out the side of a root, but it passed muster, but it didn't go all over it.
Right.
So you can get away with it that way, and you can still see the rock.
Well, we need a bit more work before we can get it out. So this one must be really grown.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
How do you choose the rock? Are you just like wandering through the garden and picking something up and going, that looks good? Or are you choosing a specific rock?
I think that one, the red rock, I was playing golf up in the Blue Mountains and I saw that rock. And
I don't think you better say anymore.
Is it golf? I
can't remember now where this one came from.
You're with Paul and you hold.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, my question was, is there a specific quality in the rock?
There we go, thank you. Well, look, people sort of say rocks with fissures in, and I was looking at something today, and they said, oh yes, you grow your rock in the fissures, but you want to put a certain rock there that you will find interesting, and that was one of the things that we found last year with when Neil Bradbury came, and he had all of his Tridents growing on rocks and all that sort of stuff, but they were pretty boring rocks. So, again, I can't even remember what rock this one is on. Oh yes, I think it's one of those, yeah.
Not a red rock, is it?
No, I think it's got some seams of various white colour going through it. I think it goes up to, oh no, I think it's,
It's a red rock.
can't remember, it might even be the next door neighbour's garden. Taken under cover of night. No, look at that, it's grown up there. It's sort of, the roots going everywhere. Look, it's sort of there's, I think I planted it there and then the roots have all come on the outside. So you can see there, you think, oh, you've got bad rock in there and you're going to stop everything, you know, everything growing inside. But then the things start growing on the outside of it as well. See, look at that one. I'm root cutting this. Somebody?
The tree's too big.
Yeah, here's a bad wrap to come off. Let's see how that's going to go. Are we still confident it's going to be all right?
Yeah.
Any problems? Well, we've got a root crossing over there. They're quite big for something that's been in there for a while, and that one there's coming down, so.
Is there a rock in this area?
Yeah, well, I thought I planted it on the side of it. You know, you don't remember so well. But more glad wrap. I don't know what to make of it. Got more.
Kind of like chocolate.
Yeah, I can't really, don't know what's happened to the rock.
Do you find it challenging with figs to stop them from swallowing the rock? Sorry, I'm being a bit facetious there. It's the same question I asked before.
Well, I thought that I had planted it in the side of the rock. But obviously I didn't. Yes, I'm not so sure now. It's not as, well, maybe some of it is, but there's a few roots that are sort of way out from the rock. And I suppose that's because it's sort of come back up. The roots have gone down and then they've come back up because they've got to keep going. Like when you buy a pot from a tree from a nursery and the roots in a small pot just go round and round and round. So, yeah, there's another one that needs that. So who's got a root over rock? Okay. So yours has been swollen up, John.
Years ago, I had a Port Jackson fig which I put on a rock,
Yep.
and after about 5 years, you couldn't see the rock.
Yep.
And on one of the repottings, it was a major effort to extract the rock.
Yeah.
Get a boring machine for
Yeah, well, there's a couple of roots going over. I'm going to take them off. So there's a root there, that's this one here. See, that's going across. So I'll cut that off. Don't have it doing that. then we've got another one here. It's quite, certainly for a tree that's only a few years old, it's sort of become quite thick there, hasn't it? But it doesn't seem as clear to me as to where the front should be. And this is obviously the rock here. I've got some thin roots coming there, and sort of, so because you think to yourself, well, what do you want coming down? I mean, do you want two big fat roots and that's all? Do you want lots of thinner roots interspersed all the way around? What would you like? So there's a bit of rock. At the back.
That looks a good front to me, looking at the rock rather than the roots.
Because if you have it there, what hits you there?
Looks like big sausages.
Some burgers. Whereas I think, unfortunately, I'm just trying to get used to these glasses and not sure what I can see. But you can see here on this side a little bit of interest also with the rock, and you can see a white vein goes across there. So maybe that will prove to be of interest if it was cleaned up a bit. So that, and also it certainly is the thickest there. So I think we could wire that one down and probably shorten this up here and maybe have that sort of going back. So that one's going to be, yeah, because it's quite thick there. So you do see the root, and we squared it out. If we squared it out with a bit of water pressure and showed what the colour of the rock was, it might show it a bit better. So I think that would be of interest. I think I could wire that one down.
Is that a sandstone? Is it sandstone?
No, it's not sandstone, it's very hard rock.
Oh, okay.
Very hard rock.
Sandstone crumbles.
Fix the crusher sense.
So if you're going to pull it to something else. Look, I'm pleased to see that we've got the ugly roots at the back. So I think that's good. And yeah, as I said, with that, I would take that down there, and maybe this one here, I'm probably going to cut it back about here somewhere. I'll probably do that. I might even come back to here, but if I cut it off here, oh, you're right with a bit of rubbish, don't I?
Absolutely.
Yes, I quite like that base there. That's quite nice. I don't like those back roots there. And I don't quite know how far down the rock goes. I assume I put the rock right down the bottom. But I don't know. And then what I would do is put
Yeah, see the rock a bit better now. It's quite interesting rock.
All right, well, I think I like the way that, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I like that. Oh, it's not a rock. So in the back here, I thought that was a rock, but it's not. So we've got another crossing root. So I'll get rid of that. So in the early stages, it's probably good to sort of get rid of that so that you can, there's a couple of root cuttings for people here if you want them. And this one this started off first. And so the rock, no, it's not the rock either. Oh, I've got that coming down underneath. Right. Okay. Alright, well I'll just pack that up and I'll have a look at this one. What's been doing really well in your bonsai collection at the moment? Simon?
My collection. Pines are sprouting hard.
The pines are?
Yep. Getting ready for decandling.
Oh yes, yep.
Maples growing hard. Azaleas are blooming.
So how many times have you cut back your tridents?
I've only done it once.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was never sure because I was with somebody doing a workshop recently and I did get a small trident maple and I don't want it to be any bigger and wider than that and not much taller than that and you know, this person said, oh, you cut it back to the second set of leaves and the next time you cut it again, you cut it to the second set of leaves. So the tree that I wanted here, suddenly after the second cut was out to here and by the end of summer it's way up there. So I don't know what the best way of doing it is. I end up sort of with my trident that I try to keep it smaller. I end up cutting the branch off altogether to make it shoot out again and maybe get smaller internodes because they come out with long internodes and suddenly you've got a long branch and you don't really want it. So, and the Japanese maples as well.
So you try not feeding it in early spring so it doesn't grow as fast.
Yeah, when I repot it, but then again I forget, so then I don't.
Then you feed it.
Yeah. It's like what I've done with this water gun. So, I've got a water gun here which I planted on. I've got a water gun here which I planted on a disc, like a compact disc, and so I went to have a look and sort of see what happened. But the thing is, I did a few trees. I did a Japanese maple, I did a couple of trident maples, and I did this one. I did about 4. And I was repotting my trident maple forest, and I needed a new tree. So I thought, oh, I've got a trident maple growing now, I'll grab that. But the only thing is, it was one of my experiments, so I grew it over the lid, the cap. A cap to the lid, and I got it out and found out that I had forgotten that it was one of the trees that I'd done that way, so I lost that one. Watermelon's gone pretty mad. So, I think the lid's not that far down. So you can imagine what's actually happened was that it's a bit like when you cast up and shoot or cattle and calves and you put the ring on their testicles and gradually it sort of comes together and cuts it all off.
No, not really. That's made a lot of us feel very uncomfortable.
Well, they don't feel too long. Yeah, so it's had the trunk going through, and I think I put it through, I think it's a compact disc, so I put it through and maybe it was about that thickness, so I had plenty of room about it. And then what actually happens, I think, is that once it gets growing and the trunk gets really thick, it gets sort of ring-barked or emasculated at that level where it can't go. So it's got to start growing roots on top. So everything underneath dies off. So, but I'm not quite sure, as you saw with that one, the roots are going, they start off going down, then they come back up, because you saw that with that fig. The roots go down, they come back up, and then they go in and go. So I'm not quite sure what's happening here. I didn't get my saw in, but I think I'll just see what I can do going across here.
So, Garry, when you repot something, you can pot it on the disc. You leave the disc there.
Well, this is the first time I've done it. So,
I've heard lots of people say that, though, but I've never actually done it.
yeah.
You do need
Now we're going to see it.
So what do they do with USB sticks?
Root over USB.
No. Well, what's that? It must be coming down from the... Oh, there it is there. Oh, so the compost disc has been sort of built up a bit. And then the roots have gone over the top. But I want it to keep growing because I want it to develop like this. So I think I've got roots coming out everywhere. See, I've got roots coming all the way around, which is what I want, as opposed to having just a couple of roots. But there seem to be roots coming all the way around.
So it's worked, has it?
It's worked, I think, but it's funny. I can see the disc is really bent and lifted up because all the action hanging underneath. So I think what I'll be doing is probably go through and cut it off going around, and anything going back underneath, and well, I'll probably cut it right now.
Will you endeavour to take the disc out or just leave it in there?
I think I'll take it out later, whether I do it today or not. I probably need to have a look at it in a more relaxed fashion at home sort of thing. I'm still thinking about the boys that were nearly drowned in the river and whether any bull sharks were going to come and give them the light or not. Because the bull sharks do come up the Parramatta River. But anyway, we got through that.
You have all the parents bringing you when you pick home.
Yes. Yeah, he's gone mad with all the roots. Done very well. Who's got a water gun?
We did not. No, with us. We got used it.
They're a tree worth considering.
Yeah, and they get the really good new shoots, red leaves shoots. So how was Scott Martin? Was he as good as me? Or? Yeah, we had him at Bonsai on the harbour one time. He was good.
He doesn't use compact discs, he uses 33 to 30.
He wouldn't know what a compact is.
Yeah, should just.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there's the compact disc.
Good as new.
I'm not sure whether one that had photos on or music or what. But there's plenty of roots. So I think what I'm going to do at home is I'm going to probably cut it through again about that level and then plant it because I'll probably put it in a wider pot so that I can get these roots coming in because I think in some places here the roots have come out, they've gone across the disc and then they've gone underneath.
It's a bit hard to tell from here. It does look as if all the roots are from the top, not from underneath.
But it's a massive root.
How long was that?
I think it was about 18 months or something. So it's doing pretty well. But there's still fairly fine roots on top. It's not at any stage equivalent of this one. Yeah. And I don't want to scratch away too many more of those roots because I want them to grow.
Are you going to cut the top back? Have you estimated the root ball?
Yeah, I better cut something off at night. So,
How much of the top are you going to cut off?
well, that's a very good question that's been asked twice. So I better do something. Yeah, I'll cut a bit off because it didn't fit in the car properly anyway. So,
You need a bigger car.
that's a straight bit, so I'll cut that there because it might sort of shoot off down below. Again, I'm not sort of at the stage yet of working out where the roots are going to be in the Ibarra because there's not really many very big roots there, so I can't sort of say whether it's going to be this way or it's going to be that way or whatever. So I'll go back to the leaf there. Oh, yep. And shoot down the bottom. I'll leave them there for the bottom. So I want to get, if I'm going to be keeping some of these, I want to have it going for diminishing size as the branches go. So I want to have sort of thinner branches at the top. I don't want to cut it back here and then not shoot off or whatever. So I'll just cut it here. I've got a big one which I've got growing at home, and the base of it, about 3 trees put together, the base of it's gone now to about that big. Because the roots have got through to the ground, and one of the trunks is sort of very big, it's about sort of this round. But you know, the wonderful thing about working with these is that you can wire them. They get a lot of flowers, right? So which is really good. So you do get a lot of play.
They backbud fairly readily.
Yeah, I think
In the wild, they seem to
yeah.
shoot from anywhere.
But it's interesting that these are a lot of these are house trees. Sorry, street trees. And a lot of them have got quite a few dead leaves on them. And I don't know why that is. Don't know why. I'm not going to sort of thin out. I'm just going to, because this is a few years off here. Leaf. This is going to be 5 years before it's ready to go. So, you know, it's one of those things you sort of think, well, do I want a tree when I'm 80 or do I want to, you know? So, still, it's one of the trees that's going to be a bit more growing to do yet, so I don't think I'll cut any more of that. I'll just put that back.
Gary, since the disc seems to have served its purpose, you consider cutting everything under the disc and taking the disc out and then replanting the whole thing on a piece of wood or a tile or something like that?
I would certainly consider at home with my saw and see what we've got here. See the root there? So the roots come from somewhere there. It seems like it's come across there and gone there. So I want those branches to, I want branches to radiate straight out. Look, I will probably cut more off that tomorrow. I don't know if I'll take the dip, but funny, I will certainly want to cut something off there because I don't know if you can see, but the disc has been really lifted up there. So I want the roots to be sort of level. So
well, that's why I thought if you take the disc out and then sit it on something flat, a tile or a piece of wood or anything
well, given that I ripped off the other one, I'm not quite sure. Has anybody done this before? Have you done it?
You're safe.
I can just say whatever I like. Yeah, I mean, apart from that one roof that I cut off there, I just don't want to, I don't want to sort of scratch around there and scratch away all the roots and then I go back to square one and I do anything. But I will certainly cut through a whole lot more there tomorrow, and then that'll quieten it down for a while, won't it?
If you did that with a CD or disc, would it be better to glue two discs together to get additional strength?
Oh, okay.
So it can work.
Yeah, it might be. It certainly might be. So this has been some of the better presenters you've had here today. You've got Martin and there have been some of the better ones.
Oh, and Garry Uebergang wasn't bad. Clinton doesn't bad.
Oh yeah, very generous with his time, definitely.
Evan was quite good as well. Evan was very good.
Oh okay, what did he talk on?
He talked on he did a progression series of pine growing edges of growing.
Okay. I like the one that he did on shelving displays. I thought that was very good.
Well, it's a guy by the name of Jared something or
Oh,
other.
you're Jared Bailey.
No, from Tasmania.
I was Garry, you see.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah. Now I thought Jared was very good.
He was.
Yeah, because, and it's interesting,
Michael didn't take him, so we were impressed.
yeah. But I once, at a very early bonsai by the harbour, Don DeLuca was there, and he brought some of his field-grown black pines to sort of come, and these were black pines that he sort of planted out in his sort of selection down there in Mildura. Hey. And he said that he didn't know sort of how to grow them. And so suddenly these black pines were sort of got up quite big, they had some bends in them, but they were about that high before they had their first branch. So no one told him, what to do. So I've been growing a few things and putting bends in and all this sort of stuff. And so I was very deflated when Jared said one of the worst things you can do is have bends that form an S. Who's got them? But I can never work out what you do when you sort of, you want to put bends in, because when I was, put bends in, and because when Marcella, I provided some trees for her, she said, Garry, you've got to do something, it's got to look interesting, so put bends in and stuff, and then I thought, I'll put S's in. But then I don't understand sometimes just how that all works, because and then you have these terrible bonsai where you see the zigzag. And that brings me to my next tree. So surprisingly quite heavy, this one. Now, I should probably let that thing out of the way. This is a red pine. The old days from Kingston, out there. Vineyard. Yep. So I got it out there. And it's been quite interesting that, look, this is a set of red pine. I do like working with them because they're very soft. Black pines can almost spike you, and draw blood. But not the red pine, and they've also got a nice smell and whatever as well. So I've had this for quite a few years. I had it, I just bought it in a black pot, and it was just fairly tall. It didn't have much of the line of lower branches. And anyway, I took it along and I first did a workshop with, I can't remember, I think it was Peter Adams. I took it to Peter Adams. And Peter Adams thought, rubbish. And he had gave it a quick cursory look, and he saw the fig that I brought, and he just wanted to work on that. Because it was quite funny, because this red pine, it wasn't completely round. It was a sort of a bit like that, some oval shape sort of thing. I don't know why that was. It seems to have lost that. And then, interesting that this red pine is that I cut it off, I cut it half of it down or whatever, and it shot out down below on the old wood. And I think red pines sort of do that a bit, and I've got another one which I've done, and I've done sort of, where you screw the branch through. What's the official term for that? Thread graft. So I did some thread grafts on that, and they work well, except you get a bit of swelling on either side. And so it's interesting to see what's developed with this, and I don't know if you can see that. But it's got lovely old bark there. But here, you can see, got some shari developing. Because this is dead, they're dead, and then you've got a vein up the middle, which is dead. So I think that's going to create a little bit of interest. And what it had was a bar branch up here. And look, I've had lots of, I asked lots of people, and Tony Bev and whatever else, and they said, well, we can work with that. It had another big branch coming out there, but of course what that's done, if you've got the bar branches like that, or maybe you've got 3 branches or too many branches coming from one area, it fattens up. And I know I've got another black pine which I look at it now and I'm so dismayed because it's just got a real thickening there because it had too many branches coming out, and it's sort of, it's like when I suppose it's okay when you've got 10 trees, you're looking pretty closely at each of them, but sometimes you sort of think, I don't have to be big handling yet. And suddenly the tree's done this and done that, and you can see they're too thick in this area because it had too many branches there, and I should have perhaps cut that sort of off earlier. But you sort of think, well, and look, I don't know. I mean, when you learn first off, left branch, right branch, back branch, another, left, and you sort of think, that's what you sort of think of. But the trees don't always sort of grow like that, and you want to sort of have it so it creates interest. And anyway, so that's what I did, and I had a big cut here, but I think that's sort of getting up all right, and I think that's going to be interesting there. And what I find interesting, that people say to me, you need to put it in a smaller pot. Well, I repotted this about 2 years ago, I think, and this is chock-a-block here with roots, and I had to scratch around with that to get the weeds out, and it was as tight as anything, and they say, oh, they like things, but then again you need to make sure you've got it watered, you've got to have it watered all the time. So that's my red pine. I think in a way, if I'd started all over again, I might have gone for I'd say literati, but they said the Bunjin style, and maybe that would have been easier to sort of manage because of the way that it shoots out and whatever else. I think that would be better rather than trying to keep it compact because it sort of the leaves get very long and go wherever else. But anyway, and look, I think probably there'll come a time where there'll be a change of angle and whatever as well, and that's the sort of thing you can always fiddle around with them. That's what you want to do. But from the point of view of a bit of dead wood and shari, I think that will make it sort of very interesting. And of course, who's Pop?
Is that Margaret?
Pat Kennedy. Pat Kennedy came to Bonsai by the harbour once or twice and he was selling his pots. Didn't want a bed upstairs, he just slept in his car down below by the water. He was happy with that. I think he does a lot of that and he goes fishing and whatever else. So I just got one other tree. How are we going for time? Got another hour to go or something? Ollie, how are we going?
We've got about 45 minutes. We've got critique and everything else.
So, I don't really remember now where I got this tree from, but I might have, there's a nursery called Harvest Seeds at Mona Vale. And I'm pretty sure that I got it from there, but I don't remember at which stage I got it. But they're as brittle as anything, and in fact, Marcella did a workshop on this one. You were probably there, you would have seen it. And it was in a big metal pot which had sauerkraut in it. And it took a lot of trouble getting it out of the pot. And so as I was pulling it out, one of the major branches here sort of broke there. So anyway, so then we had to grow more, didn't we? But it's certainly, I think, filling in the gaps and whatever, and even and so what I've done is I just gone to sort of fill the gaps. I've brought up this branch and put it in there, and I don't think you really notice it that much. It's just sort of, you know, fits in all right.
Excuse my ignorance, Joe. What is it?
But, well, I'll call it a Beckia. Lee will correct me and call it a
I call it back here. I think
Beckia.
it's,
Well, people say Dagantonia
yeah.
and some other names. I think they come
Samantha?
up with. Samantha. Samantha. Yep.
Beautiful little flower.
Yeah, beautiful little flower. Yep.
Gary, what tree is it?
It's a Beckia.
Becky.
It's a native. And so it's got everything you want in a bonsai because it's got the rough bark. And it's got flowers. And it's got the very small leaves. What's the worst thing about these Beckias?
Thirsty.
Sorry?
Very thirsty.
Thirsty?
Massive growers.
They get the webbing insects.
Oh, yeah.
You get the webbing insects, you know, if you're not looking closely at them, I think there's one tree they've got at home that's got it. But you've got to go in there and look for them, and it's only then you have a whole area that's dead. So, I'm never quite sure what to do with the webbing insects when I do it. I usually just brush the leaf and squeeze it and, you know, and get them all off and throw it on the ground. But I thought, hang on, they might climb back up again and get back into the tree.
Not when you squash them.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought, I know, I'll collect them all, and rather than go around to the green bin, I'll just put them in the bin inside the house. And my wife's, you know the house, so she's very neat and very tidy. So I've taken these webbing grubs up, the cobwebs, whatever, and put them in the bin inside the house. And I come back in, and she's there and said, "Where are these grubs from? Where are they coming from?" So what they've done, they've been in the kitchen bin, and they crawled out of it, freedom, and so I had to cover that one up.
That wouldn't last long as your wife though.
No, well, that's why we've got a cat as well. So I've got a lovely azalea at the moment. It's in beautiful flower. Almost, you know, you can't see almost the leaves, but it's the tree that's got very small leaves. But it flowers. Normally they don't flower, those ones, but it's flowering at the moment.
Santoni.
Yeah, Tony. So it's beautiful. It's in beautiful flower at the moment. But we have an indoor cat, and so the indoor cat sort of is always looking for more food and whatever. So the cat decided to attack the. It's probably got almost twice as many flowers as that at the moment. It has quite a big flower, but the leaves are sort of really small. So the cat sort of attacked that last night, and then the cat got sick and vomited everywhere. So that had to go outside, so you can't keep that in.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
The cat or the bonsai?
No, the cat's kept inside.
How long have you been training her?
Well, I think I've been growing it. I've had it about 6 years, I think, and then Marcella did a workshop on it 2 years ago, and yeah, so that's where it is. And I'm not quite sure whether I don't know whether to. It's always hard to know what people do with the You know, because you don't, certainly with native you don't cut them all flush, but you don't necessarily aim to turn them into a gym, but probably you don't have it so that it's a square cut. I should probably just get in there and try to add a little bit and make it look like it's sort of broken off somewhere along the line. Yeah, look, I gave this a heavy trim a couple of months ago and it's responded sort of very well. I was surprised. I had got another one of these which I brought along last year. It was a double trunk, and I shaped it and trimmed it last year at this meeting. And I took it to the RIS, and I thought that was my best tree. That it got a bronze medal or whatever, third place or something or other. And but maybe it was because I just had it in a standard sort of green, grey, hexagonal pot. And I didn't have it in one of the Lee recommended pots. So that was all it was. But it's funny, isn't it? People say it's got to be in a smaller pot, it's got to, the portion's got to be right, and then you get a really hot day or something and you fall over and you don't get your round of water and you don't get it done.
Whose pot is that one?
That's a Denise Edgerton pot.
Right.
I think it needs to come down a bit lower in the pot because it's still sitting out a bit too high, do you think? No? All right.
No, it's a good lead into the base of the tree. A big,
Gary, which is the front to you?
Which is the front?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the top.
Because that looks fantastic. Because you can see the trunk structure.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't like the way that some people just make a straight pad. So you have a branch coming out there, and they get the shears out and go zip, 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 and they just have a flat pad there. And then they go to the other side, and you might come in with the branch, and then they just go a flat sort of shade, as if they've cut over to the lawnmower. But I like to sort of see that the branches break off and go here and there, and you've got the gaps and the division, and sometimes it might be at a higher level or a lower level, and so it's not just zip, zip, zip. That's what certainly I try to do. Any questions?
About what? Just that, or anything?
Yeah, anything?
Is there a recommended size for a rock when you're using tree over rock?
Well, neither of those specimens that I've done.
Because those ones there, to me, the rocks seem to be very small.
No, I guess I didn't have the right size rock, and I didn't have. When I look and sort of see what, Paulette de Martin, I was over at her place recently, and she has some magnificent rocks over there, like even volcanic ones,
Yeah.
There's a sort of those red ones that Ray Nesby used to sell from Central Australia about 20 years ago, I don't have access to any of those.
It's just that I've got 3 volcanic rocks.
Oh yes. How big are they?
That big. And the reason I got that, because I'm getting younger and they're not as heavy as they have to rock. That's the basic idea that I got the volcanic. It wasn't so much because of the volcanic, but the weight of it.
What about James Sharoon? What's he do?
Who's that?
He makes them out of bone.
He makes them out of
bone.
Artificial.
Are they authentic?
They look good.
They look good.
No,
realistic.
It's not rocks.
They get knocked
It's a
around.
tree over foam now. It's not a tree.
Yes, well, they'd certainly squash the phone, wouldn't they, John? Hey?
He had some here one night, and somebody wouldn't believe that they weren't real rocks.
Yes.
They look good,
Yes.
but it's still not a rock.
one size the art of deception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, like a
And it's much,
sort of
it's
thing.
much harder to live.
Especially because they burn it.
And so, what are we potting our trees in and stuff? Sorry, Holly, am I?
No. We'll probably wrap up in 2 minutes, but
What are you potting your trees in these days? I heard someone say that the succulent, whatever mix from Bunnings, I use, this one's in, I put sand and succulent in it, even though the cement companies are running out of sand. I mix up a bit of sand and like a fool, I got this sand, not a fool, but I went to I&L and picked up some sand and I was washing through it and I thought, oh, there's gold in here. There were all these gold flakes and I thought, keep quiet about this and go and buy a few more bags. Someone said I was just caught, so not quite rich as what I said. Yeah, so I've used the succulent. So with some of the ones that I do, I use the succulent mix with, but I add sand to washed sand and put that through. And, oh, it's actually right, people sort of, you know, I remember once I had a tree on display over at Brenda's at Illawarra and she said, oh, some of these people come in here and they grow their tree in rocks. Not soil, they grow them in rocks. But, yes?
Oh, she collects rocks, doesn't she? Well, I don't use full rock. I use about 30% crushed salt, loose stone, 50% Nesky soil, and a bit of, let's see, red stuff.
Zeolite. Yeah, but I'm surprised with potting mixes and how that all works. And I had 2 eucalypts which I've grown, but no longer have. I got rid of one and the other one died. We've got to be quite big, but the expert over here. So anyway, I was growing one in normal soil, one of the eucalypts, and another one I just grew it in straight pumice. Well, I think the one in straight pumice grew better than the other one. I was amazed. But when I went to, repot it and sort it off, I just had my hand saw, because I don't have all the tools, hand saw, and I got about halfway through it and I thought, no, I can't do this. I packed it up again and got rid of it because it was just so thick, it was just really hard to catch through the rock. Anyway.
Thank you very much. That's Garry. I think most of the main things is the words that you have just trying your project and see how they go. So I think everyone's taking all the way from that. Chris, we'll get you to do a 5-10 minute critique of display. Okay. If anyone hasn't put their tree up for display yet,
Tree. Port Jackson. I think, it's over potted and all that sort of stuff, but it's a very young tree. I think you want to start shaping it. Don't let, these are going to be flexible for a while, but start thinking about if you want a bit of movement in it, because now's the time to do it, because they're really easy to do anything with. So I'd just be growing it on, but start thinking about the shape you want of the branches. Same with this little fella. I probably would have grown it a little bit more in a growing pot to get it bulk up a little bit more, and then do what they've done here, just chop it off. It depends if that's the size and that's the shape of the tree you want, fine, it's good. Again, I'd think about where you want your shape of your branches now, and if you're going to keep it that size, fine, but start your wiring, start thinking about your wiring. This fella, I quite like the tree. I'm not quite sure that it's in the right place in the pot. Usually you have your centre of your tree in the centre of the pot. If it's going out that way, you can put the trunk that way a bit, but this one looks like it's a bit too far unless you're going to develop this a whole lot more. And given where it is, I think it's probably a little bit too much to one side. If you're using a pot like this, and you let it get too root bound, you're going to have trouble getting it out of the pot. Any of these sort of reverse taper pots. If they get root bound, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting it out. I like the stand. This little fellow I like, that's the side of the tree I'm playing around with now. You can pick them up. Obviously the stand is quite not the stand for that tree, it's a little bit too big, but it's a nice stand. And the tree's looking good and healthy. Bit of bar branch in here. I still reckon it looks alright though. Again, lovely trunk. Nice layout, little Zoe. The tree's obviously been pruned back with the density of the leaves and the ramification. It's going hell for leather. It all looks healthy. Good thing. This thing is mine. It's urgently in need of a trim. It'll be cut back quite heavily. I brought it in because as an example of how the tree can be different to the ways of... Oh, by the way, if you're going for a bird's nest fern, this will have to go very shortly. I grew one in a pot that big that grew to be this big. So that ain't going to stop unless I do something about it. So really it should be taken out. It looked okay when it was small, but now it's too big. But note, that bit at the top is like a bump on the top. Whoops. Bump's gone. It went to the show looking a whole lot better than that because it's all gone all scruffy. But the first thing the judge said, it was a bump on the top of the tree. If I had to turn the tree around, it would have been a different outcome. But it's got a lovely trunk, but it needs a good prune. Whole selection of good little fellas. I really like him. Burr, it's great. In fact, I like all of them. That's what I'm playing around with at the moment. This sort of size. They've all got nice stands. I'll compliment them. Obviously no stand, but that's okay. No, I particularly like that one. And the leaf size, it's got down to matching the tree size. If I didn't know better, I'd say that was leaves. Yeah, that's what happens when someone knows what they're doing. It's nicely pruned, lovely shape, nicely displayed. This fella, again, nicely done. Not the same amount of foliage, but it's still quite a striking tree, mouldy trunk. I quite like some of these scars. Gouge them out a bit more, make them a bit deeper. If you're going to show them big. A willow leaf, like one of these fellas over here, they do grow big trunks and they don't require a lot of time to do it. Nor we've been told techniques, but actually I haven't done much with mine and I've got a dirty great big trunk on it. They're just really worth having a look at, those trees, having a real tree. And I like the little Zoe with it too, it's lovely. Okay.
Alrighty, we'll finish meeting off for the next 25 minutes doing workshopping. I think people will be selling stuff on the sale table and otherwise...
Can I just pick one point? For the beginner type people, when we say defoliating the tree, that's what we're talking about. Not just, nipping a few leaves off, going back to 2 leaves. This is now all coming back. This was defoliated a couple of weeks ago. But that's what you mean by defoliating. Take it all off, get back, take those, you want to go into sort of harder wood, because the harder wood you'll get back budding on it. And that's what you're after. You're after lots of back budding. Have a look at this. I'm not saying it's a great example, but you'll see how much leaf that thing's going to have on it. And they'll be smaller leaves. That's why you're you defoliating.
Oh, could I just grab the floor again? I have a bit to do with Bonsai by the Harbour, and John has always been a very regular attendant at it, as is David as well. But it'll be on again next year, probably just one day, because we've got a good run up on Saturday, but not too many on the Sunday. Are there any people that you would like to see there as a demonstrator? Marcella?
Has Jared done it before?
Is Jared?
Has Jared been at Bonsai by the Harbour?
No, he hasn't.
That would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was very good the other day, and he's also, because it's quite funny because it's very hard to, I don't want to name names or whatever, but sometimes, you know, when you have workshops, you know, like you'll have, I remember doing one with that Italian guy, Mauro, and in Mauro, there were 6 of us there, and Mauro came around and said 20 seconds here, 20 seconds there, and then he was sitting down and he was ready for the whole. But other people will spend 10 minutes with one person and 30 seconds with you and 3 minutes here. I thought Garrett was good the way to be evenly distributed this at the time. So anyway, I will send all the details to you. We've got the VFA meeting, and I think normally, I don't know if John's come as a representative once to the meeting, but it's the end of the month at the Gladesville Scout Hall if someone comes. And the BFA is not a club, it's just an organisation to provide demonstrators and workshops and whatever for people. You know, if anybody can help out in any way and on the day or before, I would really appreciate that. And just be aware that there is the opportunity. We will have workshops there for you, and you know, I think they come in about $70 or something or other. But that might even give you a tank full of petrol these days. Anyway, keep that in mind. It'll come up on the BFA website. There's nothing there at the moment, but we're meeting with them in a month, so I'll take note of it. All right.
Thank you. Thank you again, Garrett.
Thanks,
Last but not least, work in progress table, which is starting to look bigger than the display table now. If there's any trees you got questions about, try and find the owner and go for the gold. Otherwise, about 20 minutes.
There's a big there that I want to get notes on the front for it, so pretty quick.
So first tree here looks like is it a Cotoneaster or is this leaves? Lee, is this your tree? Is that a Cotoneaster? Yeah, horizontalis. So an easy way to distinguish the two different Cotoneasters is the general one that you'll find out in the shrub has much larger leaves than the horizontalis, and also how the branches grow. Horizontalis, they grow quite horizontally. Has a much darker green leaf in my experience, and this one looks like it has pink flowers.
Yes.
Really delicate stand that looks that really doesn't draw away from the flowers or the tree itself. I think the pot is probably a little tall, and maybe are you going to grow it down any longer?
No.
Okay, that's just personal preference. I think with a deeper pot, I think I'd want to accentuate and grow the tree further down. I like the little turtle looking up. You may not be able to see it from here, but there's a little turtle as an accent, and it's looking up at the tree as well. So that gives a really good sort of depth. Next tree. I don't know what this is. Is this Chris's tree?
It's a gruya.
A gruya? Really, you may not be able to see it from here, but it's actually got deadwood through the plant. So usually deadwood or sharis are on your juniper pine varieties of, as a lot of the time it can rot away. So I don't know, how hard is the wood on this? Has it been holding up for a long time?
It's looking scruffy at the moment. It's not deciduous, but it doesn't like winter very much. Okay. So it's just coming out of winter, so it could be hacked, but it's starting to flower, so I'm not going to hack it until the flowers come.
No, wonderful movement through the trunk. What colour flower does it have? Purple. Lavender star. Okay, I have heard that. So the lavender star. So I would love to see maybe a little more juxtaposition between the pot and the flower in flowering time. So maybe like even a yellow pot could actually.
The pot's pretty great.
Yeah, could really accentuate that. But really cool plant, and flowering trees. Sometimes you have to forgo pruning so that you can get flowering that season.
If I could put 2 cents worth in, I would prune the gruya now because it flowers on the ends of new growth, and within 6 weeks you'll have more flower buds.
Okay, there you go, Chris. Next up we have looks like a squamata juniper. Really cool little stand. Whose plant is this?
It's mine.
Yeah, really. Where'd you get the stand? It's really cool.
Where did you get the what?
Where'd you get the stand?
Oh,
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't know if Lee sold it or whatever. It's a really delicate. It's actually a really delicate stand. Really nice pot. Just really
$1 from the op shop.
$1 from the op shop. Perfect.
And Steve drilled the holes in it.
Wonderful. I think if anything, I would probably just get the foliage a little bit tighter together.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
A little bit of wire, that would be great. Next one, same yours?
That's also mine.
It's also yours? Yeah, so much denser, probably a bit too dense, so you probably need to find
Yeah, I was
a little
gonna cut it together.
bit of a balance. The other thing as well with junipers is that if you're trying to get a cascading or semi-cascading plant, you imagine it in nature, it's not probably going to have a lot of foliage underneath the branch. So anything underneath here is probably not really, probably not mimicking a real life environment.
Thanks.
Next one's a root over rock bougainvillea. Yeah. So this is Chris's. Did you grow it over the rock, or did you find it? Yeah. Purple leaf. Sorry, purple flower. What?
No, it's a light colour.
Light colour. Okay. Sorry, I've never owned it. Yeah. So one thing you'll note, this main trunk is holding quite hard to the rock, and some plants won't adhere very well. And the definition of a good root over rock will be that really tight root system on the rock itself, and that's why you'll put the like tape or rubber bands or whatever you want around when it's in the soil to really get it to hug. Really interesting tree. I like the little dead hollow here as well. This is a root over rock trident maple. Is this yours, James? Or?
Yeah.
And did you build the rock?
No.
What? So where'd you get the tree? Is it from Ray's?
15 years ago we went to, there was a guy, remember Chris, we went to Barry? Wasn't it Barry somewhere, that guy was deceased?
Up for that.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's not very.
Yeah. So this is a phenomenal example of those roots really hugging in close to the rock, to the point where I think it's sort of starting to mould and go outside of the crevices. I'd probably like to see, just being a deciduous tree, I'd probably like to see a glazed pot, but that's probably personal.
Don't have. So we bought it this year.
Don't have any?
Don't have any.
Well, it looks like you need to buy one.
Yeah.
What you may not be able to see is that like tridents grow really vigorously, and you've got to be onto them, and you've got to prune them very hard in the spring. You can either pinch out the tips, or you can just constantly prune. Otherwise, what happens is you'll end up with extending branches and lose your ramification. So one of the highlights of this tree, I think, is if you get close and go underneath, you can see how that's been ramified really well. This is a sort of a semi-cascade and cascade at the same time. Is this yours, Chris, or whose is this? Is yours, Mike? Wow. So I think one thing that drew me into this tree was how you've got the aerial root, sort of like if you go into the parks in Sydney, you'll see those big hanging roots. That's the first thing I saw. This is exactly what it is. So I think that it's sort of probably outside of the conventional norms of design, but to me it drew me in, and it was like really interesting and unique. So I really like that, Mike. Same thing. These grow very vigorously like the tridents, different species obviously, and the ramification's really good. I think you probably need to defoliate soon-ish. Prune and defoliate. Christmas? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you fill up the yeah, it's coming up. I think, so interesting thing, I think, Lee, you taught me this, is that the accent should be never higher than the pot itself. So this is a little bit of a taller accent than you would normally see, but it actually is okay because it's quite a deep pot. I think it probably doesn't add a whole lot to the whole display. So I think, maybe something a bit more tropical to sort of feel like it's in that ficus environment. Next up, we've got a tick bush or kunzia. This is whose this tree? Is this yours, Neville? So this is an Australian native. If you want to dig it out of someone's property, call it a tick bush because they'll probably let you. you say it's a kunzia, it sounds like it's a native, and I learned that from the podcast. You'll remember that. Really vigorous growers, and you need to prune them pretty often. Otherwise, they sort of end up with this big floppy foliage everywhere. They really suit cascade and semi-cascades. I think Lee's actually shown a couple of show-head semi-cascades. I think even at the last presentation you had one that you got off me. Really good foliage pads, and I think even as this sort of grows out, it'll sort of fill in a few little spaces and be really healthy and natural. Phenomenal tree actually. It's the branching looks really old, and you've done amazing work in it. Next up, we've got a root over rock ficus. Sorry if I'm dragging on anyway. I think it probably needs another couple of weeks of foliage coming out, but
I'm pretty crap out of it.
yeah,
2 weeks ago.
yeah, we'll call it a deciduous for this one. Pot. Wait, have you got what have you got growing there, birds? Like a little bird's nest?
No, it's a elkhorn.
Elkhorn. Okay. So if you go up into like Port Macquarie or whatever, you see the ficuses in the rainforest there. You'll see elkhorns, bird's nests, all just growing naturally up there. So that's actually a really cool little addition. This is Simon's, I believe. What azalea is it?
It's Suzuki Azalea Shinkyo.
So I don't have a whole lot to add to that because I'm not an azalea guy. But one thing that is very obvious is that he's used a glazed pot for a flowering plant, and the blue contrasts that light pink, so it really shows off the flower. Same thing with the stand. Not too much, not to show off at all. It doesn't take away from those flowers. And then last but not least is this wonderfully balanced Squamata juniper. Interesting thing about, and you can maybe see it on a tree that's work in progress over there, is that when you've got a cascade, these can be challenging for cascades and semi-cascades because your top of your tree is actually the bottom, if that makes sense, because it's actually the bottom of the trunk. So what can happen is your apex can end up very weak, and you actually can't prune it as hard compared to the bottom, which is sort of counterintuitive. So whereas this is actually, in contrast to that, this is a very healthy tree. Really lush green foliage at the top. It's actually starting to get a little bit of mature foliage sort of hiding in there if you look up close, and the display itself is very rustic, and I quite like the stand that everything's been put on. The only thing I'd say is I wish the pot was probably shown off a little bit more. I feel like it's completely hidden by the tree from this angle. The only other thing, there's also a work in progress table. If you've got any questions about any of those trees, feel free to ask the owner. I think David's got an interesting little Grevillea, gardenia that he's been working on. Other than that, finish up the sales night, keep working. We've got almost another hour until we have to be packed up and out of here. Thanks.
Thank you.
See what I told you.
And then 22 was the ginseng.
Okay, you're number 9. Let me just see if I have any.